This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Crandon student among two decomposing bodies found. 17-year-old Central High School student Jason White has been identified among the two people whose decomposing bodies were found in 7 Heights, Midday, Crandon on Friday. White is also known as MJ. The other victim is 19-year-old Lyndon Brown, alias Tickle. About 2:35 p.m. Friday, residents stumbled upon the decomposing bodies in bushes and summoned the police. One of the bodies had a red handkerchief around the neck and was clad in black merino, orange and black shorts, and a pair of brown Clarks. The second body was clad in a blue and white t-shirt, blue sleeveless jacket, jeans, and a pair of green sneakers. Anyone with information on this matter is asked to contact the Jamaican police at 876-986-2208. Jamaican gunman behaving like Putin, says Justice Minister. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck says Jamaica's gunmen are operating like Russian President Vladimir Putin, killing and maiming people without a just cause. According to data compiled by the Jamaica Constabulary Force from January 1 to March 29 this year, 364 people were murdered. This is 3.2% or 12 fewer than the tally for the corresponding period of 2021, when 376 murders were reported. Jamaica is not as bad as Ukraine, but in some areas in Jamaica, the gunmen behave like Vladimir Putin, who feels he should control others and tell others what is to be done and control their movements, Chuck said. The Justice Minister was addressing members of the Savannah Lamar Seventh-day Adventist Church on Saturday. On February 24, Putin's army invaded Ukraine, apparently over its decision to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. The organization is an intergovernmental military alliance of 30 member states, 28 which are in Europe and the other 2 in North America. The months-old Russian invasion of Ukraine has seen food, water, and medicine running scarce. According to Chuck, Jamaica is also a battlefield, and far too many communities are at war. He said alternative dispute resolution is required to help solve some of the conflicts. We have too many persons, families, neighborhoods, communities, churches who are at war, the Justice Minister said. The minister also said many Jamaicans had become very intolerant of each other. For one reason or another, people have so many disagreements, families fighting, neighbors fighting, communities fighting, and what is very important is for us to be able to see how we can encourage persons to really deal with one another in a loving, harmonious, Christian-like way, Chuck told the Seventh-day Adventist congregation in Westmoreland. Truck overturns on New Southern Coastal Highway, traffic diverted. Traffic was being diverted from a section of the newly opened Southern Coastal Highway in St. Thomas following an accident involving a truck laden with sand. The truck driver and his passenger were injured around 4:30 when the vehicle overturned as the motorist failed to navigate a corner. According to reports, about 4:25 p.m. on Saturday, the driver of the truck was heading towards Kingston. He failed to engage the appropriate gear, and the truck began reversing before crashing into a median and overturning, blocking the road. Motorists were being diverted through Grandspan while efforts were made to clear the road. 7-year wait for justice. Educator mom refuses to give up on police son killed by another cop. Lenora Thomas's son, a policeman, was shot dead in what law enforcers said at the time was a robbery at a bar in the western seacoast town of Hopewell, Hanover, on April 4, 2015, the circumstances of which she and others have stoutly disputed. And even the evidence that has come out of the now 7-year ordeal has raised the questions about what investigators had claimed initially. But the reality is that Thomas, a veteran educator and a guidance counselor at Hopewell High School, has been without a son she trusted, believed in, and swears by his honesty for 7 years. Kamar Beckford, who at the time of his death was assigned to Betheltown Police Station in Westmoreland, was reportedly killed by a bullet fired from the gun of another member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Inspector Wayne Jacobs, who had told the Inspectorate of the Constabulary and the Independent Commission of Investigations in separate statements that he had been a patron in the bar which he said Beckford had tried to rob. That, Jacobs said, resulted in him shooting Beckford. At the time, Beckford, who lived in Springfield, St. Elizabeth, was staying with his mother in Lucy. The bartender was said to be injured by a bullet during the shooting. It later emerged that there were gaps in the statements submitted by eyewitnesses and the on-site investigations that followed. While the Inspectorate of the Constabulary remained mum on the investigation weeks after, an Indicom official contacted by the news revealed that there had been discrepancies in the reports that were received up to that point, saying at the time that the investigation was at a very delicate stage and some things do not seem right. Indicom later stated that there was no evidence to recommend that criminal charges should be filed against Inspector Jacobs, who, according to unconfirmed reports reaching the news, has since retired from the constabulary. Indicom had also recommended, though, that the matter be referred to the coroner's court to determine whether or not an inquest would be necessary. That was 2016. Now Thomas is hoping that the court, which meets in session at Hanover Parish Court in Lucy on Monday morning on the anniversary of her son's death, will at least pave the way for her son's name to be cleared. My son did not do what they said he did, and I am continuing the fight to clear his name, Thomas said about the matter that was first called up in the coroner's court on November 26, 2021, and was put off for tomorrow's date. I don't know what it will be like, because I have never been in a courthouse apart from that time last November, and I have said to myself, God, why did they have to set it for that day, the anniversary of the day he died? Do I have to go there and listen again to the torture that they put my son through and torture me in the process? But I don't know what God has in store. Even without a lawyer to watch the proceedings on her and her family's behalf, Thomas is prepared to go the full journey in her quest to prove that her son was innocent. Her last retained counsel, she said, had not been responding to her after several calls made to his office, and she does not feel obligated to call him again. There is also another side to the story that the grieving mother, who now cares for her deceased son's child, wants to highlight as part of the equation. At the time of Kemar's death, the police had released a photograph of another constable named Kemar Beckford, who was a member of the Trelawney Division. One media organization even carried the photograph, but later apologized for doing so. When he died, the picture that was posted was that of a young man who had the same name from the Trelawney Division. The only difference with his name and my son's is that my son has an apostrophe, Thomas said. I believe that it was a case of mistaken identity. Why did they kill my son and then the police presented the picture to the media of another policeman? Could it have meant that the other policeman was the intended target? They had his picture ready to present. That picture was carried on TV, and the station later called me to apologize, the mother added. Beckford was buried on May 2, 2015 in Springfield, Northwest St. Elizabeth. He was not a rogue cop, and I am prepared to fight to the end to prove that he wasn't, Thomas insisted of her firstborn of 3 when the news spoke with her on Friday. She said that on the night of the incident, her son had been called to the bar by someone she did not know, and he entered the premises with 2 firearms, one issued by the constabulary and the other owned by him. A police source had confirmed to the news that no shot was fired from either of Beckford's guns. The initial report of him entering the bar with a mask too was in dispute, as photographs from the crime scene after it was sealed off showed him with a mask placed on his face turned upside down. Beckford's mother said that the 25-year-old was aspiring to become a psychologist and was close to doing 2 more subjects in 2015 to prepare him for entry into college. Late in April 2015, Thomas told the news that she was not seeking revenge. Neither am I asking for anyone's head. The police commission needs to act. When my son graduated from police training school at age 19, he said something to me that I will always remember. He told me, a policeman can be your good friend, but he can also be your worst enemy. How profound is that statement? Thomas asked. Pastor convicted of rape loses bid to overturn conviction. A Crandon pastor who was convicted in 2015 for the rape of a 15-year-old member of his congregation has lost his bid to overturn the conviction and get a reduced sentence. Orrin Ellis, who was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment at hard labor, was only successful in reducing the time for which he is eligible for parole to 13 years. The conviction stemmed from an incident which happened in 2012 when the girl was 15 years old. Ellis committed the act on the church compound one day when she visited him for assistance. He was later held by residents, tied up and handed over to the police. In his appeal, he argued that the trial was not fair because DNA evidence was taken from him and not used by prosecutors, and this could have assisted his defense. However, the Court of Appeal ruled that the DNA evidence was disclosed to the defense and could have been used if he wished. Ellis also challenged his sentence on the basis that the sentencing judge did not follow the correct procedure in arriving at the 20-year sentence. However, the Court of Appeal ruled that while there were flaws in the process, it could not apply its own sentencing process, and there were several aggravating factors. These include that Ellis was in a position of trust, and the complainant was just 15 years old. He had a previous conviction for carnal abuse for which he served jail time, and the offense was committed on the church compound. The Court of Appeal maintained the 20-year sentence, but ruled that he would be eligible for parole after 13 years. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.